Good afternoon. Yeah, it's very important to check after lunch because I know it's getting a bit sleepy, right? So anyone feeling sleep? So this is forbidden to see that side, all right? That's the best view, but we have the view this side. All right, so my name is Vijay. Vijay Raina. I'm from Autodesk, based in Dubai, and originally from India. So long travel from India over here, but based in Dubai, so it was not that far. Right, so typically I take care of AEC products in terms of architecture, engineering, construction, and data management in Autodesk, based in Dubai. I've been working with Autodesk for 5 years, initially in Singapore, now in Dubai. All right, so thank you very much for attending this session. And this is very interesting topic, actually, because a lot of people in the industry, or AEC industry, do not believe in something called as data management. All right, so we'll discuss about what is the positive impact of data management and why is it necessary, and how does Autodesk Vault fit into the play. All right, so here's the thing. So traditionally, what we see is from any company point of view, whether you are an architecture firm, a structure firm, or a multidisciplinary consulting firm, or a contractor firm. So what we have seen is 1/3 of the time our people, especially the senior management, goes into searching the information. All right, so when you look at the searching the information, so how does Vault play a role over there? How can we actually improve the workflow processes of getting the information, processing the information, and forwarding the information to relevant people? Now, at the end of the class, you would be able to understand what's the impact of not having a data management in the workflows. And you'll be able to understand how the metadata and the searching of the data life cycles, as well as having the data as a single source of truth, impacts the bottom line of any firm. We're going to explain about the benefits of having a data management solution for all those specifications, email related, and all those things. I'm not sure if you can read it properly because light on that. Now, first of all, what is data management thing? Does anyone have any data management solution in your organization? Do you use any solution? Anyone? Don't be shy. AU means networking. It means learning. It means sharing. So if you have any question, if you want to share something, go ahead. All right? So don't be shy, okay? So we'll see what's this data management thing, because this is something we're going to talk about another 45 minutes. So data management thing is very, very simple. Assume that there is a project, and there's an owner on a project, or a project manager. There's an architect, there's an engineer, there's a contractor, there is a builder, all those type of people who are involved in the project. Now, what happens the first time when an owner starts a project? He provides some information, let's say, to an architect, to an MEP, and other relevant disciplines. Everything goes very smoothly for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So all the data flow is very, very smooth. You do not see any problem. You can easily find an email. You can easily find what was the latest document sent to you, till there's a stage reaches when all the documents start going left, right, center, and here and there. Do you believe in this? Does it happen to you? Are you always able to find the latest information in the project? Right? I can see some people agreeing and some people not agreeing, I would say, but let's see how we do it. So what's data management thing is, why don't we have all this data at one place? Right, so there's data coming from different sources, different stakeholders in the project, and then we call that as a data management. So it's not only putting the data at one place. So you may not agree that I cannot have the owner's data, architect's data, and contractor's data at one place. That's different thing. So I can have an owner having their own data management. I can have a consulting firm having their own data management. Or for a project, there can be a single data management for a project level. So what exactly is data management. We call it as an engineering data management, or EDM. So a lot of people believe that's a software. That's true. Now, what a data management does very easily is that it allows a person to look for an old version of a file. Example, you have an Autocad file. You want to go to a file which is last version or last revision. Typically, you go to an IT and ask them to restore a file and all those type of things. What happens with the data management is if you have a permission to go back to a previous version, you do not need to ask anyone. You simply select it and say, open the previous version, and there you go. Similarly, it allows and it restricts a person not to delete, not to move the files without having the ability of going to the IT guy and asking all the time that I need a permission to move a file or I need a permission to delete the file. So restrictions can be applied based upon the type of file it is, based upon the role of a person, not only based upon a folder, what we always have. So we're going to see all those equations and all that. Now, then we always say, okay, now you kind of understand what's EDM, then what's Vault? So in a very simple way, Autodesk Vault is a software which helps to organize, manage, and track the data and the document processes for design teams. All right, so Vault gives a more control over the design data with revision management. You can quickly go back to a previous version, or you can quickly reuse the data which was created in any other project previously. So you can always replicate the data. For example, if you have an office here in Istanbul, and then you have another design office, let's say in London, another office in New York, and we can replicate the data. That means the data can stay replicated. The same file can be available in all those locations without uploading, without downloading and all that. Because when a user needs a file, he does not need to go and start uploading or start downloading or spend time on that. Whereas Vault can manage that replication throughout the enterprise. All right, then comes in how I'm going to do configuration. So Vault enables a very, very easy configuration and a scalability at any point of time. Now, then comes again, Vault. Can it increase my revenue? Because when we talk about any solution, there's always people who will ask about ROI. Whether assigning, whether you use AutoCAD, is there an ROI to that? If we move to something called BIM, or Revit, or Navisworks, or any other solution, is there an ROI for that? Now we're going to look at that point of view of this product, which is, now remember this, IDC. So IDC is a research firm. It's a very premier research firm worldwide. So they do the research based upon different things worldwide. So if you go to idc.com and you search this, the high cost of not finding information, this is what they tell about, all right? So what they say is, after they found the research, is that the typical knowledge worker spends about 2.5 hours per day, or roughly 30% of the workday searching for information. It may not be averaged at 2.5 hours, but it is relevant because every day you're looking for a file. You're searching an AutoCAD file, you're searching an email, you're searching an Word, Excel, PowerPoint file, and all those time up. And the irony is that because we always do that, that's a routine. And you never take care of how much time it takes. People never count how much time they take to eat. People never count how much time it takes them from going from their bedroom and taking to the car. They will always count how much time it takes when they go into car to reach an office, but not how much time it spends from the room or from the door to the car or to the train or to the bus, because that's a routine. So what happens with the routine is, during our working hours, we never take care of how much time I spend to find that AutoCAD file, or how much time I literally spend. So based upon those research, because people do not take care of that, it was found that it's about 30%. So now very simple. Let's put a math to this, and let's give a value to that particular thing. So a 30 people company, let's say their average salary is around $50,000. So what's happening with that? If you say 30 into 50 and that 30% of it, this is $450,000 per year. productivity loss. Okay? Now, similarly, that is just time spending on searching the file, and it's also a known fact that even the people, whatever they search, it's always a 50% chances that they are getting the relevant information, or they're able to find what they're actually looking for. Now, that's another study by the same IDC with a name of Bridging the Information Productivity Gap. So what happened is that it was found that time wasted in document creation and management activities cost an organization around $9,000 per information worker per year. So that means if we do the math again for the same 30% firm, so that becomes 30 into 9,071, that becomes around $272,000 per year. So this is an unknown. People even do not realize that this happens. So why this happens is because that's a routine. And we don't realize that I spent 5 minutes just to search for an AutoCAD file before I start working on that. And then I'm looking for another AutoCAD file, under 5 minutes. So then you're looking for an Excel file, maybe another 2 minutes. Or an email, or reply to an email, you spend some time on that. So that time is a money, and that's how much it can cost. So what happens is that with these two minor problems, or small 30% firm losing this much of money each year, now just imagine that what's going to be cost for a firm which is having 50 people, 100 people, 200 people, 500 people working in there. So the numbers tell you that you need an EDM system. If you agree with me with those numbers, with that particular type of problem, where you see that, okay, we spend this much of time in finding that information. In a very simple, that's one of the reasons, all right? So this is a very, very easy fix to go for a document management solution. All right, so another survey was the high cost for not finding information is also one of the survey which was done by IDC. All right, so if you agree with the time spent in finding the information, then how is going to improve my profits? All right, now, how is going to improve the profit? Because when you're looking from the ROI point of view, what an EDM solution or data management solution is all about, it's going to be faster project time completion. Why it's going to be faster? Because you're going to find the information very easily. You're looking at an AutoCAD file, you're looking at AutoCAD file which was 10 versions before, you do not need to search the file somewhere else. You simply click on the file and say, go 10 versions back, you have it. You do not need to ask for an IT guy to restore a file from somewhere and all those type of things. Similarly, you are not doing any overwriting of the data. There's no data loss. You can search a file, for example, an AutoCAD file. You can search an AutoCAD file if you remember anything about it. Let's say you know that there is a block inside an AutoCAD file called door. You put a door, it will search all the CAD files which has a door inside as a block, for example. Or if you know the layer name of that, or if you know who has drawn that, when it was submitted, when it was saved, you'll be able to find it without looking for folders, without looking for IT person to give you an access and search the file. All right, so based upon this survey, there is a 600% of efficiency or productivity gain for any type of firm when they have an electronic document management system for all the type of documents which they use. Now, going forward to it, there are also something we call as intangible benefits. Intangible benefits are something which cannot be measured with money. So these can be, when you have a better information, a person can make a better decision. For example, as a design manager, when you get an information at a right time without spending so much time, a manager can have a very good decision based upon what the design was done. So you do not need to have duplicated efforts. Decisions will be proper, and you can always trace the changes whenever it happened, increasing the collaboration between design teams as well. So if you see the impact of revenue, so what else Vault can do for me or for my firm? So this is what I'm going to talk about here. So when we have a solution like Vault, when we have EDM solution in our organization deployed, so what we can do is we can easily create organize and share project information. So when we say easily, that means it's very easily available without person need to search. You can have collaborative design workflows. You can manage all the data in any file format in the EDM solutions. You can integrate your emails as well as all the Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Access and all those things with this one. And you can have an access or secure access for the team members based upon who they are, what they do in a project. Then after that, you can automatically track the evolution and important milestones. So when I say milestone, for example, if the file was in the conceptual stage, and then you change a milestone and revise the file to design, design development. What happens from the conceptual design to design development is that you have a different revision number. So how do you change, if you have to go back to that revision, how do you check it? Typically, that has been archived by an IT guy. You have to ask someone to give you that file. But here, you can easily manage the same file, and metadata will make sure that this is revised in a different milestone. It will automatically capture that particular file. All right? So what happens here is the same file is saved. Difference is very simple here. If you have a file, let's say AutoCAD file called a.dwg, that file is in conceptual stage, revision 1. Then revision 2 means typically people do is they save as the file, agree, and then start calling it revision 2. Then you have another revision, revision 3, revision 4. So typically, if you have 5 revisions, you have 5 different files. But what happens in the EDM solution is that you have only one file. So what happens is, with that one file, the EDM applies the milestone, or it captures the history of that file within that file. That means even if this is the same file, I'm working on a version number 5, I might have to go back to version number 4. I can simply, based upon if I have an access to be able to go back to revision, I can go and say, I want to go back to revision 4. Or I want to compare revision 4 with revision 5 within the system. So I can do it without even asking the help, or without even searching the file from an archive, from a different hard disk, or different IT infrastructure. And then what we do also is we also define something we call as life cycle. So life cycle is very, very important aspect of EDM solution. That means when I have a file, assuming the AutoCAD file you have, that AutoCAD file, when a drafts person is working on that, he has full authority on that file. That means he can create, he can edit, he can save. Now, once that file goes from its design process and it goes for approval, the moment it goes for approval, it gets locked for the drafting team, and design managers will have access for that file. Now, you do not need to have a different folder for a drafting team. You do not need to have a different folder for engineering managers or the reviewing team. Same file, based upon who is supposed to work on that file, automatically when the change of state happens, you say this is from design to review. You just change the stage from design to review. Automatically, people will lose access in terms of editing, for example, and other people will gain access. It remains the same file. I'm not changing the file. I'm not backing up the file. I'm not archiving the file. Based upon the role, I have a role of designer. I have access. I am asking for approval. I should not be working on the file. This happens normally. You send a file to manager to approve, but you still keep on working, which is supposed not to be there. So you can have that control over there as well. Then you can always attach the design markups and the reviews and approvals, and this can apply to all type of files within the document management system. So how Autodesk Vault and how it comes into play is very simple. Autodesk Vault is in 3 different flavors. It comes as an Autodesk Vault Basic, Autodesk Vault Workgroup, and Autodesk Vault Professional. So Autodesk Vault Professional contains workgroup features as well as the basic. Similarly, workgroup contains the basic features and all that. Now, it depends upon what actually team is doing. For example, if there's a company who does not use any AutoCADs or Revits and all that, they just use Office products and all that. Or within the organization, there is a team who's only using Excel, PowerPoint. wall basic. Similarly, the people who are using in the organization, let's say you use Revit, you use Autocad, you use Navisworks, 3ds Max, or Word, Excel, PowerPoint, I will say I will go for wall professional to give access to everyone. Now what happens with this is, first of all, what wall does is it becomes as a file store. First functionality from a data management point of view with Vault is it becomes a file store. That means we have the files in the server where users are getting access to, where users will be saving and retrieving the files to work with. So when we say server, this is in-house. The first thing about the Vault is that this is not cloud. This is not anywhere else. It's on a company's own infrastructure. That means it's on the server, what you already have. All right, those files are saved securely behind the firewall, what a company does have. Then what we're looking here is the properties. So properties are the metadata which are associated with the files. So for example, an AutoCAD file has a metadata, means who saved the file last time. What is a block properties inside there? Who checked in the files, time, date, author. So that type of information becomes a metadata, and it's all saved in the EDM solution. So when this is saved, I can search a file in the EDM solution by who checked in the file last time, or who is the author of that file, or who is the reviser of that file, very easily when we have the files with us. Then comes as a version. As I was telling earlier, whenever you save a file, whether it's an AutoCAD file or a Word or Excel PowerPoint files, when you save the file to the Vault, it saves it as a snapshot. File remains same, a new snapshot, version 1, version 2, version 3. Every save creates a new version. That means I have the same file. New version means only the delta change in next file. Let's say I have a Word file, and in that Word file, I have written A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Just till F, and I save it one version. And then next, I open the file next time, I just add G, H, I. So when I save it, it becomes version 2, and I have few more words in there. Now, what happens if I need to go back to the first version? I select the file, I say go and open the version 1. I can open that version 1, and I will only get A, B, C, D, E, F. If I go to the second version, I will have the rest of it as well. So that means same file, delta change. From an IT infrastructure point of view, I am not saving file 2 times, number 1. Number 2, for a user point of view, if I need to go back to a previous version, I don't need to go to an IT person to say, you have saved my file 2 weeks back, can you give it back to me from an archive from the server. So that becomes a very, very important functionality here. Then comes as a security. So security without an EDM solution from an IT point of view is based upon a folder. So you have a folder structure in your office, and that folder structure means you are accessing the file based upon if you can go to the folder or you cannot go to the folder. Now what an EDM solution or a wall does is that it assigns the security based upon a role. So I can say all the architects, all the mechanical engineers, all the structure engineers should be able to access this file or folder. And the moment you assign it by the role, if you change the role or if you change the person, automatically those things keep changing. All right? So you do not need to take pictures of this one. This PowerPoint will be shared to you later on. Okay? So you can save the memory of your computers. All right, so then comes as a file dependency. So when you say file dependency, for example, you have an AutoCAD file and you save an AutoCAD file. And then that AutoCAD file has 5, 6 XREFs. Whenever you save it, it will automatically get the XREFs in. And it will automatically get you all the reference drawings available to it. For example, I might have an XREF file in a different folder. But if it is XREF, I open it from an AutoCAD point of view, it will automatically open all the XREFs with it. Any problem, it will always guide me that your XREF is missing and all that, and I can always go and maintain the relationship of the file. So then comes from a different point of view. So I can move a file, let's say I have a file in one folder, I can move it from one folder to another folder, I can copy the file, I can rename the file, and all those things. So when you move a file, let's say you have a folder A, AutoCAD file is there, it has an xref also, the file. I am moving it from folder A to folder X. Typically, you know what happens in the Windows point of view. You will have to xref it again. But when we do it here, it knows the relationship. So it will move those xrefs, references automatically, so you do not lose that information which was earlier available. So it will maintain the relationship between those relationship of the files. Similarly, there's a functionality called as copy design. So when I select the file, and if it has a different file associated with it, it will copy the entire hierarchy of those files and folders and let me, sometimes you have the same file, typical floor plan, for example, you copy and paste it, and that file had references, it will also move them to the new file. So you do not need to xref again the other files as well. All right? So then comes the visualization. So when you have, for example, an AutoCAD file, within the vault itself in the window, you can simply view your floor plans. If you have an email, you can view in the vault without opening it. If you just need to view it, you can simply view it within the same window. You can simply view Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or, PDFs or DWFs and AutoCAD files within the same vault, as well as Revit files if you are working with the Revit and all those type of things. So the publishing happens automatically from these softwares as well. Then comes from an IT point of view, if you need to create a report. A report can be anything. For example, an IT person wants to know how much space this project A has taken on a server. So we can generate the report. Or I can see how many files in the project are in a state called conceptual design. I can generate a report. I can see how many files are checked in or checked out by user A. I can generate a report. So anything associated with those files, as an IT point of view, to generate those reports is very easy. And whenever I generate the report, it will be always up to date. So I don't need to look for information anywhere. So this information also, report will take care of the file naming, if there's any subfolders and all those type of things, and give me the impact of that relationship. Then comes in something we call as a non-CAD access. So the non-CAD access is, what we have is, for example, some companies have other softwares, We don't use Microsoft Office, or everyone in Office doesn't use AutoCAD. So you have some engineers using Excel, for example, or some marketing folks using PDFs or images and all that. So we can have any format of files inside the document management system, as well as Vault will be able to work with all those things without any restriction and all those type of things. Similarly, there's something we call as a release management. So release management is, as I was explaining earlier, so I can have, for example, a work in progress and review or release. The moment I assign a life cycle or a release assignment to a file, the moment I assign it to a file, it becomes associated with the people who are supposed to work during that time. Let's say first row, I say these are all work in progress. Once they change the state of the file to review, we can set in the system that they are not able to edit it anymore. And second row people, you will be able to go and open the file to review those files. Once you have reviewed, and you can say, okay, these are files ready to be released to an external agency or contractor and all that, then you can see work in progress group as well as review group do not have any editing option, deleting option anymore. And you can also change it. For example, if you trust your people to have access of editing anytime, you can set it that way also. That means it's manually customizable, so you can set it the way you want it. You can restrict it for each and every aspect of it, or you can let people to do it rule-based. Okay? Then comes the integration. So integration with the Autodesk Plm 360, which is a cloud-based PLM solution, Or there's an API also available for other business systems. Some people, especially in the manufacturing segment, where a lot of people have the inventory management and other system in SAP, for example, or Oracle. So once you have the data management, data has been released, it can automatically go to that SAP, or it can automatically go to the Oracle for procurements, or accessing the bill of materials from the drawings and all those type of things. So this is a very, very easily integration with other business systems. Then comes as a replication, all right? So replication is like a cloning. So you can clone a file store from one location to another location. So this is a very, very helpful tool when a company is working on a very big project from different locations. Typically, you might have all the data in Istanbul office, but what happens into an office if you have another office in, let's say, Cairo? In the Cairo office, if they try to open a Word file, from there it takes a lot of time. It's something like downloading the file and all those type of things. So what we do is, we have, let's say, a server in Cairo and we have a server in Istanbul. These two servers get replicated. That means the data between these two servers in the back end always is same. So it gets replicated. The data from Cairo and data from Istanbul will be always same. And the people from Istanbul will access to the server which is in the Istanbul, and the people from Cairo will access the server which is in Cairo. So that means they are not facing the problem of latency issues, low internet speeds, and all that. And remember, this is still within your network, all right? Similarly, if it is comes in the bill of materials and change orders, which are mostly associated with the manufacturing segment, so again, those can be taken care with the Vault Professional. You can manage all those bill of quantities, bill of materials, and change management systems within the system here. The web access. Similarly, there is a portal available, one we call as a web access. So Autodesk Vault allows us to access it from web. All right, so we need to, what we do is we say web portal. All right, so if you have Vault Office license, you can also perform file management tasks. File management tasks means you can assign it to someone, you can change the revisions, you can change different aspects of it. Similarly, this is one thing which becomes very, very important. That is one source of truth. In a data management world, or in today's fast-changing world, we always face the problems because there's one problem. That means we do not find every information at one location. By applying an EDM solution to our existing workflows, that one source of truth becomes more and more powerful thing. Because once your users will have access to the information, whether they are looking for a Word file, an Excel file, or an Autocad file, or a Revit file, and they are going to look it for one particular location. And that becomes the truth, and that becomes a productivity gain. All right? So I'm going to show you a couple of things very, very fast here. All right, so this is here. I'm in Word, right? So this is Autodesk Word, Microsoft Word, AutoCAD here. All right, so let me just start a new file here. Now, this is a new file. You can see here, for a user to get a file from an EDM solution, he does not need to go and search for an X drive, Y drive, or Z drive. Simple thing here. I can say login. So from Word directly, I can log into my server, provided I have the authority or I have been assigned to be able to go there. I can simply open the file from here. Right? So if I know where my file is, I can simply go and create a file. Or let's save one file here. I'm just going to say here A, B, C, D, E, F. Oops, sorry. Okay, so this is a few words which I have put here. Let me just increase Some of them I'm going to save this file first in my PC somewhere. All right, then what I'm going to do here is I will say check in this file. I'll just save it in this folder called, let's say, client submittal folder. This is the first time, so I can just save this file. Now, next time, if I need this file, all right, so by that time, let me just go back here. I'll just go back here and log in because I just closed that file. Next time, I will open that file directly from that one here. So I do not need to look for that file. This is the file which I had created. Now what happens with this file is, hang on a second. So this is the file I have here. Now it tells me here that this file has been opened. So that's the indication to me. And if you want to preview with this file, screen size. Version 1. That is what I can see it here, right? Now, what I'm going to go do is I will go back to this one, GHIJ. I'll simply go back to the vault, and I will check in this file. So once I check in this file here, if I go back to vault, refresh it, now I have version 2 as well. So this is my version 2 file, right, because I saved it next time. But anytime if I go back to version 1, that's how it was. So you understand what happens here. Same file, save it twice, it stores the metadata. And it saves this file as a delta change. I do not need to save this file as a separate file, rename it as version 2. I can simply do it from here. Now, I can do the same thing here for the AutoCAD files. Okay, so I can simply log into the vault. All right, in the vault as well, I can simply go and say, this is my file, or let's say this is the file I'm going to open. So that AutoCAD file, I can simply open that file here. And I have something we call as a revision number and all those type of things. Now, I'll go back to this one here. CAD files, this is my CAD file from here. And this CAD file you can see here, this has been revised as A21. And if I want to go back, I just need to increase resolution a bit. All right. I'll check in this file first. So this is my Vault app. I'll check in this file. And after I check in this file, what happens next is I'll go back here, refresh it. Now you can see it shows me that this file is not opened by anyone. So I can simply see the status whether somebody has opened the file or not opened the file. Or I'm going to say this time, change revision. Change revision means I'm changing it from one revision to another revision. So I'm going to say here I want a tertiary revision. You can see here A.2.2, right? It was earlier A.2.1. Okay? Now let's go back to AutoCAD. I'll just say check out this file. Okay, that's already out here. Open this file again. Yes. Update the file. Do you see what happened here? That's my AutoCAD file. I change that system, I change the revision number in my document management system, and even my AutoCAD file gets updated with that information. Now what happens is, you will agree with me that there are so many times in our AutoCAD world where you are always working with a wrong version file because somebody does forget to update the correct version. But if your EDM solution is set in a proper way and your AutoCAD file version is equivalent to EDM or the version coming from your server itself. So again, same file, different versions means it's been saved different times, and versions means it's been automatically saved with the different revisions. One file, starting day one, till you actually archive the file, it remains the same file. It saves all the metadata of the file within the same file, all the different versions, all the history of all the users within the same file. So that's how the powerful EDM solutions can be for a day-to-day work. No more incorrect data, single source of truth. That's how EDM solution is, right? I have been already told time is up, so